In this video, I am going to install a couple of solar panels on the roof and drill some holes in my roof. I am not looking forward to it. It is going to take quite a bit of time to do it. And there are quite a bit of concerns. One of the concerns is that when you drill through the roof, you might drill into an electrical wire and set your RV on fire. So you've been warned. Do any of this stuff at your own risk. This is just my chronicles of how I got this journey done. And so far, I haven't burnt anything down. And it's been a couple of weeks since I drilled the holes in the roof and ran the wires, so should be okay. But you never know. There are a couple of things in the roof that will give you some clues as to what's going on. So we actually took the light off. This just unscrews. And then there are 3 screws underneath of this LED fixture. Pull that down and then you have about a 1-inch hole or so that you can kind of feel around in. Between this ceiling and the roof up top, there's about 6 to 8 inches of gap space. You can also do some work with the ducts, but this might get a little messy and you might disconnect your duct, so I wouldn't recommend going into the ductwork. However, what you can see is that we've got a light here, which means there are electrical wires somewhere in this area. And we have a vent here, and that means that the ductwork is going this way here. So I want to stay towards the center. And then when you get up on the roof, there are a bunch of concerns that you have to deal with up there too. What else is up there in the way? Where are your solar panels themselves going to go? How long are the wires that come with the solar panels? All kinds of stuff like that. So take plenty of time planning ahead before you get your drill motor out and drill holes in your roof. Drilling holes in your roof, this process took us about 4 hours just to figure out where to put the holes, and then about 15 minutes to run the cable through, and another 15 minutes to seal the solar entry gland to the roof. So all of the hard work is in the planning. And take your time, and you may wind up with extra holes in your roof than you planned for, but there's a solution for that too. So it is what it is. And even the pros might get it wrong as well, and then they're going to do the same thing. They're going to put a second patch on your roof and take it from there. So don't beat yourself up if you do wind up with some extra holes in your roof. The best thing you can do is find something on your roof like a TV antenna and not ever want to watch over-the-air broadcast TV. Yank that boy out, run through the hole that's already in the roof and seal it all up. And then you don't have to worry about too much other than how you're going to make the cables look pretty on the inside. So I thought about this while I was doing some editing. Real quick side note here about fishing cables, finding holes, drilling holes in walls, etc., etc. Find an existing opening and get yourself something called a boroscope. And you can get these things that plug into your cell phone, or you can get them independently. They're fairly inexpensive, but if you are worried about drilling through wires and so on inside of your walls, that light that I showed you in the ceiling, take off the cover, unscrew it, pull the fixture down. You've already got a 1-inch hole in the wall. You stick the boroscope through and you take a look around and you can see what's in there. So you can tell where you're drilling if you wanted to go that far. I'm kind of comfortable just drilling holes because I've been inside of constructing buildings in my life, and I built walls and I run electrical wires inside walls, and I kind of get how people think about things. And you'll get this too as you do more and more of this stuff, but if you are unsure, then a boroscope is the way to go. And I will leave some links down below for that as well. When we did the through hole on the roof part of the video, we were out at Quartzsite, Arizona. That was about a month ago. There were high winds and lots of dust that day. So we decided not to be messing with, 4-foot by 3-foot solar panels that would catch the wind and blow away and hurt somebody during that day. So hole through the roof and then solar panels later. Let's get to drilling. Oh, real quick, it is a good idea to have a couple of buddies with you, someone to bounce some ideas off of. We call it rubber ducking, where you just want to talk to somebody and talk through this and hear any objections whatsoever. So if you've got some friends, enlist them, hold the drinking until afterwards, hold the celebrations until after there's something to celebrate about. And again, like I said, this took us a while. So my friend Chuck and my friend Jim were out with me at Quartzsite, Arizona, and that's who you're gonna see a little bit of in this next part of this video. Thank you very much, guys. You are much appreciated.
Is the seam right in front of the light or right in the center of the light? Right here is where the seam is on the roof. I think we're going to be okay.
Well, now I've got 2 holes in my roof. That's not nerve-wracking at all. We still ain't done yet. Might have to make bigger holes.
Okay, towards my motorhome. You're right there, Jim. Oh, back just towards the back. There you. That's it right there. That is it right there. I didn't think this part would be that hard, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we didn't know it was 6 inches down, though. It's a little back. You push.
Got it.
Got it.
All right, slow down. Let me undo this.
It's gonna seal there. Yeah.
If it does, we'll get more problems.
A little bit of die core to seal it off from the elements, a little bit of patience for it to level out, and all is right with the world on this front. Well, we survived our first night of rain. No water came through the hole, so that's a good thing. But I have had these wires just dangling in the doorway of my office for a good 2 weeks now, and I need to get that fixed. I mean, it's not annoying at all having these things right in the way of every single thing you're doing, or having a pile of wire on your workbench when you're trying to get projects done. This is all upcoming video fodder for my ham radio channel, and that wire has been a pain in my backside. So I thought about it, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to transition from these two holes in the ceiling, and I thought that gland that we put on the roof would be just fine. So I ordered another one, which is part of why it's been another 2 weeks, is waiting for it to arrive at the next RV park that we're at. So I'm going to get that installed today, and I'm going to dress up these wires a bit. I do like having the wires exposed to a certain degree. 2 reasons. Number 1, there's no easy way to run these inside. And number 2, I got thick gauge wire because I'm going to be testing different solar panels, and I'm going to be testing different charge controllers and different voltages and amperages and so on. So I got the biggest wire that I could find. And there will be links for all of this stuff in the description down below as we continue this journey of getting these solar panels on the roof of this RV. So this is the same gland that we have on the roof, and it makes a nice 90-degree transition. It comes with the mounting screws that you need and the gland itself, and it comes in 2 different colors, white and black. And it's going to be waterproof on the inside too, but I don't really need it waterproof on the inside. I just need it purty. So I have taken apart the waterproofing gland, and you get a spot that goes in there in the front, and you get a nut that holds it in the back, and then this part here, it's kind of like a compression fitting. You can see these little teeth here. As it goes in, it squeezes tighter and tighter and makes a nice waterproof seal around the cable. We're still going to use it for prettiness sake, but not for waterproofing sake, hopefully. And internally, this is, I don't know if I can see, there we go. Internally, it's designed that that nut backs up against that brace, and so you only need to tighten it from the outside because the nut will hold itself on the inside. There's one, same thing, put the nut on the inside, and then screw it in from the outside. Okay. Next up, I need to take my wires here and shove them through from the inside. I've already straightened the wires all the way out from that coil that I showed you before, and now I just need to feed them through, just like that. There we go. That'll dress up real nice. Perfect. Don't tell Big Red, but I keep Big Yellow inside. Get some screws and get this thing put in how we like it. And I'm holding it up so I can do a little bit of strain relief until I get these extra screws in, which are then going to be my strain relief for me. There we go. One last screw. Perfect. Chase these guys back up there and tighten them down. And because these are inside, I'm not trying to be waterproof. They don't need to be killed, they just need to be there. Next up, I got some wire ties, and these are the kind with the little loophole for the screws. So I got some small 1-inch drywall screws to go with those. And I saw a trick recently, I'm gonna try that out. Instead of cutting the top off, cut a slit right down the middle here, and then you can reach in and grab one. Maybe make this slit a little bit bigger. Then you can reach in and grab one and pull it out, and they won't fall out. Not a jumbled mess. I like it. That works. So just cut a slit in the back. Good to go. So I want to take that right over there. And we'll try this first one using 1 zip tie for each. And then on the next one we'll do 2 zip ties and see if that's, we'll do 1 zip tie for both and see if we like that. You know what? That's on the wrong side. One down. Okay, that way is better, which is probably the way I just had it, because that's how zip ties work. Yep. All right, we're already 2 zip ties in. I'm gonna go back to doing it the doubled up way. I want 2 wires going through 1 zip tie. That way I don't have 2 holes every single time there is a zip tie in the wall. And that way I can just reuse that same hole that we just did. Okay, same scenario. 1 zip tie for 2 wires. And you can get the plastic raceway that goes over this, but like I said, I think these wires are too thick for that. So if you're wondering why I'm struggling with zip ties, it's because honestly I think zip ties are going to be a bit better of a job here. Perfect. Gotta round the corner. All right, I'm gonna finish this up and I'll show you the finished product when we're done. As promised, the wrap up. So there is the solar entry gland, which is now the solar exit gland. And it comes down the wall, and I put a lot more zip tie holders on than you might normally do, but I am gonna have to stare at this while I sit at my workbench. And I wanted to make sure that it looked pretty good. So now you guys get to see the nitty-gritty underside of my workbench. And don't be stingy on the zip ties. I could probably put an extra one there to get rid of this little loop here. I'll do that off camera. And then around the corner. And then that's kind of where I don't know what I want to do next. So I have this little shelf here, and what I'm thinking about is putting a board up here so that I can mount different kinds of solar charge controllers and battery monitor devices and inverters and so on for future testing on the channel. But for now, that wire is out of the doorway, and I don't really need to worry about running into it or having it on the workbench or anything. And we'll keep on keeping on, because don't let perfect be the enemy of good, or keep on sucking till you succeed, or any of that jazz. Whatever metaphor, motivational speaking thing floats your boat. Real quick, a bonus tip for you is if you put these guys in your case with the battery still attached, sometimes when you move around, you might wind up getting that trigger pushed, and you'll wind up with a dead battery, or worse, this might drill into or mar up the case of your other device that's in there. So there we go. I like these Milwaukee Packout cases, but I've been a DeWalt man forever, so it is what it is, folks. DeWalt started making cases like this after Milwaukee did, and I already had a bunch of them, so they get to commingle. These little collapsible ladders are actually pretty slick for RV life. My RV doesn't have a ladder on it, so I keep this in the back of the truck, and that is as small as it gets. And it's probably 25 pounds or so. Let's get it set up and get on the roof. Pretty easy to set up. I put a little bit of die core down underneath, push this into that die core, and then screwed around the outside. These are my MC4 connectors, and put a massive blob of die core on top of it to keep it up. So you saw my friends help me out earlier in this. Thank you very much to Jim and Chuck, and it has been waterproof all this time. And then that leaves me room for 1, 2 200-watt solar panels, 3, 4 maybe, and this is why that wound up being in the doorway right at my office, is because I wanted the solar panel cables to exit here and come in, as opposed to having to run all the cables all the way up to the front and having that come in on the wall. It is best anytime you are climbing a ladder to have a ladder buddy around and practice good ladder safety. This thing does have round verticals, and so it makes it slide a bit when you put it up on the roof, so you got to be careful about that, but use your best judgment and you should be just fine. Next up we have Eterna Clean and Eterna Prime, and this is made by the Eterna Bond people, and this here will clean all the gunk off of your roof, removes oxidization, that's a hard word to say, oxidation, tree sap, grime, grease, and oil. And then this one here is a surface conditioner and adhesive enhancer. And this one here you need to spray on, let it tack up, and then put your Eterna Bond tape down on top of it. So between these two, we're gonna have a nice clean and sticky roof in order to stick down our solar panels. Once you get the solar panels plugged in the roof, these wires are hot, so I'm gonna wrap them up just to be safe. They're already pretty well protected on the ends here, but doesn't hurt to do a little bit of extra safetyness so I don't burn my house down. That should do it. These are not currently glued down. I just wanted to sit them out and take a look at what they might look like. That's a 200 watt panel, that's a 200 watt panel. Plug them in together, we get 400 watts. And then I have room for some more. And I can even remove that TV antenna because we never use that. It's just there because I don't feel like taking it off. Sometimes you're lazy. So now I'm gonna do the Eterna Clean. I did a test clean in the back corner. I'll take a look at that real quick and make sure that it's okay. And then we'll get to doing the real clean. So when the factory built this thing, they kind of left this little bit of extra whatever here. And I just sprayed down the Eterna Clean right in here and let it pull up a bit. Nothing I can tell is going on any different than anywhere else on the roof. There's a little dirty spot there and I rubbed it with my finger. I probably shouldn't have, but I did. And it looks like it's just fine. So always test in an inconspicuous spot or a spot that you think you can fix and then get back to it. If this actually did cause a problem, I could put a piece of that Eterna Bond tape over top of it and cover up any damage that I did. And it's got a lot of alcohol in it, so it just evaporates really quick. And I have a little scrub brush here with some hot water, no added chemicals, just some hot water. Oh, that's cleaning up nicely. The roof is textured, so I want to get down inside of the texture. And that's why I have the scrub brush in there. Holy moly, that's clean. Might need more than one jar of this. Look at that handprint. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Yeah, you can. Wow, that's how clean it's getting. Nice. What I have learned is that you should probably do a small section at a time because of the evaporation, but look at all that dirt. And there is your before, and there is your after. Much different. Okay, I definitely say for 2 solar panels worth, you want 2 cans of cleaner. I came really close to the end of a can of cleaner getting this done, but I love the results. So here is the dirty line, and I have no idea how well the camera's picking this up, so I hope it's doing a good job. And then you can see where I did the cleaning before. I didn't do a great job, but I did a good enough job, and now we need to let it dry, and we'll come back up and do the panels. Okay, so a couple of problems and a couple of solutions. One of them is when you're on the roof of an RV, or when you're anywhere in an RV for that matter, there are 0 references to level, square, plumb, true, etc. So you kind of have to make it up as you go along. One of the solutions is that it's going to be on the roof and nobody's going to see it. So, I mean, you guys are going to see it and you're going to hopefully share this with some friends about how I did this and all the mistakes that I made here that I'm showing you. Or, just don't worry about it. It's actually better just to get ahead and get the job done than it is to worry about perfection. The other thing is I'm not going to use the Eterna Prime. I'm thinking that spraying it down on the panel, the edge of the solar panel is right here along the side of my finger, and I think there's no way to control overspray. So I'm not going to do the Eterna Prime at all. I think it would do a pretty good job, but I don't think it's going to work out for covering the panel in any more dirt than it already has on it. So I did a quick measurement from the edge of the roof, and this is kind of flexible, so you know there's a piece of plywood under there somewhere, maybe find that or something. And I came in 10 inches to a mark there, and then I did another 10 inches here at the front and 7 inches from the plastic bead that's right up here in the front of the part where the front, I guess this is Phylon, the front matches the roof, mates up with the roof, so right there. So 7 and 7 and 10 and 10. And you can stand on these and move on these, and I'm currently kneeling on it right now, But I think it's probably a better idea if you leave yourself some walkway room or something in case you need to get up there and do some work. So 7 inches from the front gives me a place to put my knees up there if I need to reseal that front seam. And the 10 inches on the side, it doesn't matter. I'm not walking out there, I just don't want them right on the side. So let's get to taping these things down. What I'm gonna do is tape across the front and tape down both sides. And I'm gonna leave the back side wide open to get any kind of airflow and moisture out from underneath of the panels. And in addition to the Eternabond tape, I'm gonna use this 3M, this is called VHB, and this is the stuff that they put body trim panels onto cars, and this stuff is really good. So I got a nice wide piece of it. I'm gonna do 2 stripes down the back of the panel, and then I'm gonna stick it to the top of the roof and hope for the best. Another thing is that these panels have a reverse protection diode inside of this media adapter, I guess you'd call it, because this is where the MC4 cable comes in and then it adapts to the panel inside of this little plastic case here. I'm going to put this towards the back so that when the wind comes over it, it'll help hold it down instead of having the wind hit the leading edge here and maybe blowing that up. I don't know, but you got to pick something. So I'm going to pick putting them at the back, and that also gets them closer to the entry gland like we had discussed earlier. And then I'm gonna get an image of this sticker here because I won't be able to see this anymore because this is the bottom side of the panel. Once this is installed, that's gone. And then this tape here is sticky on one side and then that red label peels off. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that down. I'm going to do 2 on each panel. And not only is this a little bit extra stick, but it's also a little bit extra gap. The moment of truth, because I only get 1 shot at this. Well, I get 1 shot per panel, so. All right. Sticky activate. Sticky activate. Get out of my way. All right, and that came out really crooked, but it is stuck down there. All right, next panel. I think it looks pretty good. This one I was able to get a little bit better because I did it off camera, and this one here is a little bit crooked, but the sun doesn't care and the RV doesn't care, and every time I park this thing, it's gonna be parked in a different direction, so there's no such thing as square to the sun anyway. But we'll get plenty of sunlight up on this roof without any trees in the way most of the time. Next up, we have the Eternabond tape, and this stuff is a bear to work with. I actually stuck it inside of a grocery bag for when I was transporting it so it didn't get stuck to everything because it is super sticky. The good part about this is we can do a little bit of work with it because the inside has a coating on it and the outside has the part that goes towards the sky. So I'll be able to manipulate this a little bit and get my cuts good and then take it from there. So I can take some measurements and I can transfer those measurements and everything will be good. It is hard to cut because it is sticky, so I have this, and then as a backup I have a piece of scrap wood that I brought up as a cutting board. Let me get my first measurement and we'll make our first cut together. All right, my first cut is going to be at 54 inches, and they don't have to be perfect, they just have to be good enough because again, this is going on the roof. So there's 54 inches, and let's try it with the scissors. It's working, it's just sticking. All right, okay, and this time I'm gonna try a knife instead of scissors and see if that works any better. Much better, I like that so much better. Okay, a couple more to go. So I peeled a little bit of the backing off and I got it started over here on the end, and that left the whole rest of it free because this stuff is super sticky. So you always want to be very careful when applying this. Maybe practice a little bit before you get up on your roof and it's go time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow, it's really hard to see, even for me in the sunlight. I'm going to follow the side of this panel area here. I mean, you can see I'm sitting on it right now. And work my way down, and we'll be back when it's done. And then I even have this little roller here, which will help me feel good about my adhesion job by being able to roll it out nice and flat. And luckily on this job, I'm just using it as some type of seam tape. I'm not really trying to waterproof anything. So these solar panels here have some grommets on them. And you can kind of see it right there. There is a little grommet right there. It's perfectly fine that it's bulging over that. What is not fine is if I cover up any of the photocell itself. So I was very careful about not covering up the photocell. There's actually probably a bit too much of a gap there, but I've got a good 1/2 inch all the way down, and the VHB tape on the back and the other 2 sides. It's gonna be aces. I have this little wing here. I have gotten this front edge down all nice and neat. And I'm just gonna keep this right on the inside of the grommets on the panel as I start peeling back. And as you peel back, it just starts sticking right away. So plan a little tiny bit ahead and you should be just fine. There we go. And then I get my roller and just roll it out nice and gentle. Perfect. Got to get the leading edge done next. We're good to go. And there is a little bit of an air gap right there, but that's what this thing's for. All gone. These all-power panels are really nice because they come with these 1-wrap fasteners, but I don't need them for this part of the journey anymore. This is great if you're taking them portable and setting them up and taking them down all the time, because these can also be used in that way. But this is one more thing that I don't need flapping around on my roof. So police your area and double check everything and you're good to go. So I have 2 solar panels on the roof and I have 1 set of entry wires. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to use these Y combiner devices that I got from Bouge RV, and it's going to basically take these 2 panels and make them into 1 big panel. If you want some information on how to combine panels either in parallel or in serial, I have a video for you right up top here. But for now, this is going to be a super simple setup. I am going to take my 2 negative wires and connect them together. Here's one. And there's 2. And I'm going to take my 2 positive wires and connect them together. There's 1. There's 2. And then these go right into the entry gland up here. 1 and 2. Nice. And there we go. 200, 200, 400 combined into the center, going down inside the RV. Those wires are live now, which again is why I took them and taped them off downstairs. Downstairs, that's kind of funny. Yes, downstairs in the RV as opposed to upstairs here on the roof of the RV. And now I have a workboard where I can put up a bunch of different stuff to show you in future videos. This is actually a piece of scrap wood from when I put the desks into this area in the front here. There ain't a whole lot of room in an RV, so you do with what you can. This is one of my favorite things to use for stuff like this. This is a ferrule crimp kit, and what it does, I happen to have an older set here that I did. It takes and puts these very pretty ends on so you're not trying to shove braided wire into a terminal block. and it really solves that problem. So I'm going to get these wires stripped, I'm going to get the ferrules on, and we're going to keep on keeping on. And this is why I like these ferrules. You just put them right on over top of the wire, and you get a little teeny tiny bit of wire sticking out the front there, and then we have this awesome crimper. So I'll put that in there. I'm going to crimp it off real good. There we go. And so now when I put that inside of the controller, it's not going to have frayed wires going everywhere. One more to go. And we've got solar. It is late in the afternoon. I'm not getting a whole lot of sun onto those panels, but I am getting sun onto those panels. And worse yet, I got no battery to charge, so we're going to get a battery up here too. All right, and here is the final test, all the way down to the last little bit. This is my Cyclone Bat 100 amp hour battery. We're going to plug it into the charge controller, and we are now charging. 2 amps in off the solar panel, 13.5 volts into the battery. It'll stop at 14.4. There we go. We've got solar panels on the roof. We've got charge controller on the wall. We have all the entry and exit holes covered up in weatherproof or beautiful fashion. We've got a battery that we're charging. Life is good. I have to say thank you to Bouge RV for sending in the solar entry gland, the wire, and the solar charge controller that were used in this video. All Powers sent in the solar panels that go on the roof. I have used All Powers gear for years at this point, and I have been very happy with everything that I've gotten from them. And in a future video, we're going to put 2 batteries on the tongue of the trailer up there and wire them up so that I have 400 watts of solar on the roof and 200 amp hours of battery power on the tongue, and then we're going to do some long-term testing with that. So be sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you can see when that video drops. For now, we've got it up and working and safe, and the trailer hasn't burnt down yet. It's been This is day 3 post-install, so we're doing pretty good. Hopefully, we won't have an insurance claim to report in a future video after we move to our next campsite. If y'all could hit that subscribe button if you found any value in this video, I would greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, there's a video right over here I think you might enjoy next. I'll see you over there.